Last week, I shared with you a little bit about the notebooking, different items to use. And this week, I just wanted to share a few curriculum that are out there to help you with notebooking that are really good. And in fact, you can go to www.eagleswingsed.com, and they have a really nice science curriculum. And I've used this one. It's a notebooking, like lap booking, notebooking, journaling, fun schooling kind of a curriculum called for science called Considering God's Creation. And what it does is it goes through the creation, the 7 days of creation. And you can expand from this thing, but it at least gives you the foundation of what you can do. It has a teacher's guide and it has the students' papers. And what I did when I had more than one child, and they do allow this if you have more than one child, is to cut the binding, and you can go and photocopy the student pages, and they just cut and paste. And this is from kindergarten on up. I mean, you can make this all the way to high school. You can make it really in depth. They also have on this same curriculum site, they have history, and in their history section, they have remembering God's awesome acts and celebrating our Messiah in the festivals. So this is a little bit more towards the Hebraic mindset than just the Christian mindset. And they have also remembering God's awesome acts, and then remembering God's chosen children. So there's volume 1 and volume 2. And these are really, really good. I did not use the remembering God's chosen children, but I did use remembering God's awesome acts with my daughter in elementary school, and she really enjoyed those pages. She learned a lot about the scriptures and about the Exodus and things like that. And the other curriculum that's out there is Mystery of History. You can look that up. Just type in the Google search bar, Mystery of History. This is by Bright Ideas Press. It's a pretty thick book, and it has a lot of really nice things to work with. The other one is Beautiful Feet. Now, Beautiful Feet is also considered a unit study, but can be used for notebooking. And they have studies like horses. They have history, American history, and their American history books are really good. I enjoyed those. My daughter, her favorite though was the horses. And there's also Truth Quest history. Truth Quest, they have it's elementary level materials at Truth Quest, incorporates a lap book notebooking kind of combination, and it's a digital. You can get it digital, or you can get it now in book form. I liked it in book form because I don't know about y'all moms out there, I like to touch, smell, and flip the pages. But these are just a few things. Also, you can go to notebookingpages.com, and there's also I can't think of the website right now, but you can just type in lap booking and lap booking curriculums, and there's a lot in there as well. But when we get to lap booking, we'll discuss that more. But again, my favorite science for notebooking was Considering God's Creation. And again, that was eagleswingsed.com. You can go to that website, and they have a lot of information there, and well worth it, well worth the price for it. It's not very pricey. They're between $13.95 to $29.95, depending on if you just get one book or if you get the teacher's manual guide. So that's what I have for today, just to share a little bit of the curriculum that's out there. I really love that curriculum. Again, I used it in co-op class. Children love it. There's so much in there. And again, you can extend out with that. And it's a fun thing to do. And it gets not just science, but it gets God's word into the children and makes God's word fun.
That's great. I remember when I was growing up, there was no such thing as homeschooling as far as I remember at all. And as I started learning about homeschooling, I thought, it's a great idea, but like so many other things, not for everybody. As I've been around other homeschooled kids and been around some kids. There's some kids that need, either special attention, or they need school. Some social kids need that school. Now, Sarah, my daughter, is extremely social, like me, and we homeschooled her, but making sure that she had friends to be with, and other places that they go to, and she still takes her boys who are just now, she's just teaching Emmett. She takes them to a lot of different places like museums and stuff. So that curriculum you're talking about, that can advance people to help people find more things that they can do, and other homeschoolers to do them with.
Exactly. It is. It's fun. The funny thing is, in the United States, homeschooling was like a new thing in the I think it was late 70s is when it started coming out. And my mom, believe it or not, was homeschooled until she was almost in high school. And then her father said, okay, I've taught you everything I know. And they don't call it high school. They call it something else. And she was put there so that she could start preparing for the career she wanted to be in. So she could start picking the career. So by age 16, 17 in Spain, they were already at that age. Those children are picking their careers of what they want to be. So they're really not in high school. They're kind of in like a college level. And so when my mom heard homeschool, she didn't understand it at first until I started explaining it. And she goes, oh, I had that done. And she was very supportive. My dad and my husband weren't supportive in the beginning, but once they got to see what it was like and what it was about, they were like, you know what, this is the best thing for our kids. And it does work. And yeah, that considering God's creation is a wonderful thing for a co-op situation as well, especially if you want to bring Christians and Messianics and Hebrew roots people together. Perfect curriculum to use.
Right.
And it brings forth God's word.
I totally agree. All right. Very good. Sherry, anything you want to add? Uh-oh, you're muted again. There we go. I think
homeschoolers have a totally different mindset, and it's usually not the mind of the world. And they're also very strong in resisting that the pecking order, or what's the word I'm looking for? Where
peer pressure.
Yes, peer pressure. They're very strong in resisting that because they've learned to think for themselves and not be one of the lemmings that's going to run off the cliff. Homeschooling is, and I mean, it's really is, and you can be assured that your child is taught the correct thing rather than somebody in school. And we've seen in what's coming out of the universities, what they've been teaching our kids, they corrupt their minds. And so homeschooling is best. And I was a working mother. I could not homeschool my child, but my suggestion to single moms who have to work is sit down with your children and go over what they've been learning in school. And then if you hear something that's incorrect, refute it and tell them, well, that's not really true. And what do you think of this? Because they had, I think it was Seventh-day Adventist in China, that the Chinese government was teaching all their children. But when they started talking to the Seventh-day Adventists, when other missionaries would come over there, they would see that the children really knew the truth. And they're saying, how did this happen? And they said, we would sit with our children every night and say, what do they tell you in school? Okay, that's a lie. Here's the truth. So if you can't homeschool your child because you're a working parent, you can sit with them and find out what they're doing and do our due diligence on that. But above all, homeschooling is the best route to go if you can possibly do it.
You also pray about it too, because I know a couple of single moms that did homeschool their kids. And it's a rough thing. It's not easy to homeschool. So many people think that we just sit around as homeschoolers, sit around in our pajamas and we do nothing but, play video games all day. And, no, we don't do that, but we don't have to spend like a classroom environment is like what, 55 minutes?
Yeah.
And it takes 20 minutes for the teacher to settle the kids down, and then another maybe 5-10 minutes to sit there to say, you know, Johnny here, blah blah here. Okay, now we're going to review what we just learned today. So there's no, so they only get maybe 10 minutes of that 55 minutes of learning something new. With homeschooling, you could take that 55 minutes and learn pretty much the whole day.
Yes.
Because you're not sitting there going, you know, because I did that one time with the kids because they wanted to be in school. I said, okay, sit down, be quiet, be quiet. And they weren't even saying anything. And I just went, Johnny, over there, be quiet. You know, and they're looking at me like I was nuts. And I said, okay, Daniel Cameron. And he's like, what are you doing? I said, say here, here. You know, and I'm going through my kids' lists and other kids, and they're looking at me, and I'm wasting time. And my middle one says, Mom, why are you wasting time? I says, this is what school is like. You wanted school. I'm giving you school. So my middle son said, Mom, we're done.
You know, another good thing too about homeschooling is that your children are not held back by other children in the room, that they can work at their own pace. And I mean, I know a lady that's homeschooled their child, and he was reading before first grade.
Yeah.
Very intelligent little boy.
They help each other. You know, the siblings become connected. Like, you know, Mark, you only had Sarah that you homeschooled. I had 3 that I homeschooled. The 3 of them still to this day, and they're in their 30s and mid 20s. They still stay connected. They still support each other. They still help one another.
Mm-hmm.
They'll even tell each other, hey, no, that's not a good idea. And in fact, my middle son, who I didn't even think was going to go to college, is right now finishing his bachelor's degree in cyber, what is it called? Cyber security. He's finishing that up and getting a bachelor's degree, which my whole family was like, we never expected this child to be the one, because it was always pulling teeth to get him to sit and read. But because his brother and sister supported him and said, hey, you can do it, instead of bringing him down like a lot of times the schools do. Well, you know, your parents were this and that, so we think you should go over here. Kind of like the socialist mindset that they have in different countries, like China. You were talking about China. China does that. They said, well, your parents were this, so you can only be in this box. The homeschoolers don't have. They're wide variety of things they're doing. So it's a blessing. But pray first before you even jump into it. Make sure that that's what the Father wants you to do, but also be on top of everything that your kids are seeing, watching, and doing.
Yeah, it's very, very true. You have to rightly divide what is right and wrong in different things, and discern whether or not your child has that or doesn't have that. So I'm with you a big time. All right. Very good.